Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I've walked in your shoes. Thanks for being here once again. I just wanted to say sorry for the delay on the day that it's being uploaded. It's just, it's been a weekend that we were busy, but let's get into it. Before anything, I wanted to read this poem because this is what I'm going to want to speak on today. Bear with me here. It's called Footprints in the Sand. And it says, one night in a dream, I walked with the Lord by the beach. There were two footprints, mine and the Lord's. But during tough times, I just saw mine and wondered why. So I asked the Lord, why leave me alone when I was down? The Lord said, my precious child, I never left you during times of trial and suffering. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Yeah, sometimes I know it feels like when we're in life's journey and we're trying to do good and we're trying to do positive things, it feels like we're all alone. It feels like there's no one there helping us, but God is always there. I want to tell you guys about my weekend. On Saturday, we went riding with some brethren of the church and the pastor and one of his daughters. And it was quite an experience. I've never done it myself, never been out in the snow riding, and didn't know if I would need, because I am part of these pages on Facebook that a lot of these guys say you need studs for your tires because in case there's ice and whatnot. But we just took my machine out, my razor out, and with Ida Maria, and we went out there, and it was not as much snow as I thought there would be, to tell you the truth. So everyone got their machines ready. We went out, and the first thing that happened was, what I didn't know is from the last trip we went out, Eddie's machine was already on the edge of breaking down, I guess, and so went out and took it out for a bit, and it broke down, so we had to haul it back, and we got back and we kept going. So we went for, I think it was about 40 kilometers was the ride, but there was all kinds of terrain. There was fields, there was muskeg that had frozen over, there was downhill rocks, uphill shale, there was cliffs, and so that whole terrain was kind of if your machine isn't equipped for it, if your machine isn't if you don't have the right tires, or if you have tires that don't have as good grip, that it's not equipped for that terrain, your machine is going to struggle a little bit. And that's what happened with a couple machines, and one of the machines was only a two-wheel drive, and so it kind of struggled at the beginning, but we'd get out, and Brother Chris and Pastor Walker and myself would try to push it up and move it up, and you could see those marks that machine would leave. You could see the marks, the dirt that it would spit from already going through the snow, and it was trying to grab traction. It would create ice because of the traction it was trying, but we would get it out, and then there was footprints all around. If someone fell, like a couple times, I fell a couple times, Pastor Walker fell a couple times, Chris fell a couple times pushing this machine, trying to get these machines out. But we'd keep going. We just keep going, and we did all kinds of terrain. Like at one point it was sketchy, absolutely sketchy at some parts of the trail. But what I knew is, like, as long as we were all together, as long as we were all helping one another, we could all just get through it, and of course we'd all come back. And we stopped a couple times, enjoyed the view. We got to see the wild horses. Pastor Walker gave us a little insight on how horses, how they behave in a herd, and which I never knew, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And yeah, we took a little break, ate a little snack, and kept moving. And we reached another point in the trip and took another little break, but we just kept moving. And it was a great day. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out. It wasn't too cold. It was actually pretty hot, especially after you're pushing those machines and going uphill, and you're trying to get this machine to get some traction. It was hot. Like, a few of us took our helmets off, unzipped our bibs and our snow pants from the top up here, if you have a bib, and just, it was hot. And but the thing, what I'm trying to get at is, sometimes when you're in life's journey, and sometimes when you're on this path of life and you feel that there's no one around, there's other people that come and try to help you. And that's the thing, that's what I like about, and that's what we found, Amanda and I, in going to church, is that there's the congregation, the brothers and sisters of church, that are there to help you, to uplift you when you've fallen, when they know of any circumstance. They're there to help you and uplift you and get you through that. And you keep moving, and you keep moving. And then there's always someone checking back to see if you're still on the trail. That's one thing, that when you're out riding on your quads, razors, dirt bikes, and you're in a group, as you go through trails and whatnot, the front guy looks back to see if the second guy's there, the second guy looks back to see if the third guy's there, third guy, and etc. Right? Just to make sure that they didn't fall back, they weren't left behind, that they don't need help. And that's one thing that, as going to church, is what I found is that's what the congregation, that's what the brothers and sisters do. And sometimes when you're out and you're not part of something like that, it's hard. You struggle to find those friends, to find those people that they say, yeah, I'm going to help you, or they say, yes, I'm here for you. But in the end, sometimes they're not there. I'm going to actually let Amanda jump in here and tell you a little bit of when she was going through her cancer, how she felt, because there was friends that she was talking about this to me on the way home yesterday. And but yeah, just what you were talking about, your people reach out to you, but then you're still left, like,
it's very shallow. A lot of people and a lot of friends, and it's like, cancer's a hard journey, and I get that it makes people uncomfortable, but you're on the outside. Be uncomfortable. That's how you support the person that you say you're going to support. And I found that a lot of the people in my journey, while I don't fault them for it, they were too uncomfortable to actually be there when they said they would. So it was, yeah, just call if you need anything. There was days I didn't have the strength to say anything that I couldn't have called, because your brain just doesn't function. You don't want to call somebody. You wanted people to call you, to check in on you. And a lot of my friends didn't do that. And a lot of my friends were there for the days that were positive, for when they would message and I'd say, yeah, things are good, I'm doing okay. In between treatments, I was. But after treatment, there were those really hard days. And those are the days that I needed people and very rarely had them.
Yeah. And I do want to jump in and say also that we did have lots of support. There was quite a bit of people that either made dinners or lunches or
completely. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
we didn't have that.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of the time it was shallow.
when you
and
needed
it
it the
was
most. Yes.
it was when I needed it, there wasn't that person to turn to a lot
Yeah.
of the time. And it was the same for you. There was times that you really needed it, and a lot of the times you were trying to face it alone too.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I don't say it to fault anybody. It's so hard as a friend to watch your friends go through that.
Yeah.
But it's so important. Like you have to show up differently for those people.
Yeah. And the reason I asked Amanda to say this is because I know there's some of you that have been struggling, and it seems like you're off on your own, and you're just getting bombarded by life, by Satan, by whatever thing in life that is hitting you hard right now.
So are we.
And so are we, yes. But the nice thing about being able to attend a church like the one that we do is those brothers and sisters rally around you when they know about the situation, when they come up to you and ask you. And I think that's a big part of growing and of overcoming is people like that.
Well, and they want to be there for you.
Yes.
They want to make it easier to carry the weight of that burden.
It doesn't seem like it's forced. And I found while we were going through everything last year, some of I don't know, but I just wanted to say that. And continuing my story here, so we went as far as we were going to go on this ride. We went to, I think it was 40 kilometers one way we went. And then, of course, time is a big factor in it as well, right? You're just trying to do a 1-day trip, and everyone needs to still get back home, especially because it's a couple hours away. An hour and 40 minutes it was for me. And so when you just... Oh, and I saw Yeti tracks, by the way. That's another episode. No, and then so you get to the top, to where you're going to go to the top, or to where you're going to reach to. You see the mountains, you see God's beauty, you see the horses, you see the fresh air. And this is the second time and that I felt his presence so much on a ride. The first time was when we first started to go to church, when we first started to attend church. And I remember telling Amanda this because it was so weird to me. I remember, I don't know if I had tried to call her right on that trip while I was riding or if it was afterwards, but I went with a friend of ours, Dan Shatsy. We went to McLean, and we were up in the mountains, and I had a Brandon Lake song playing, and it's one of my favorite songs, and I felt his presence so much that I was actually just, it felt like, and I had missed the Sunday service that day, just because that was the only time that we could go if that Dan could go. And so I just felt his presence so much. And I told him, man, I'm like, I don't know if it was just that I needed fresh air, or I don't know because I actually felt it, but I just felt surrounded by his presence. And I felt that everything was going to be okay, that everything was going to be fine, that Amanda was good. I felt bad for taking a trip out while she was still going through things, but I let her know that I had felt that. And I felt that again this trip. Like even Ida was singing, and just she likes some of the songs that we play here at home, and yeah. But as we were going, and I was feeling that, I was looking at the tracks and the ones that we had already come from. And there were stories in those tracks. There was a story of that's where the quad had trouble, right? That's where the quad had trouble, and then the rider needed help getting out of that situation. It was a rut, and it needed someone to just lift and push. And there was three of us that could help and do that, four of us that could help and do that. And then you would move on, and you could see where someone had maybe slipped. You could see the mark of the boot just slip, and you could see where that person had fallen. And you could see where the other person had fallen on the side. And you could see where that quad had gotten traction and was going up the hill or going down the hill or whatever it was. And then you would keep going, and you would see where the quad, where a quad or my side by side had shimmied where it was slippery, but where it had gone straight again. So I don't know why, but as soon as I got into cell phone service, into the truck, I messaged Amanda and I told her, what was the text that I messaged you? I believe it was,
Let me find it.
Your tracks have a story.
Trails tell stories.
Trails
episode.
tell stories. That's my next episode. And I just felt it like it was something that I needed to say, because I know that I have, in my life, there's many trails. There's trails in my life that seem like they're just ongoing loops that I wasn't going anywhere. And then there's a trail that leads to more sin. And there's a trail that leads to where I actually fell. And there's a trail that leads to where I stood there, or I stopped for a bit and I couldn't move and I wouldn't move. And there's also in those trails, I'm pretty sure, even though I wasn't going to church, there's sorry. Also in those trails, I'm pretty sure if we could go back and look on those trails, we'd see footprints. We'd see maybe just of a God
Extra one.
lifting you up. There would be an extra footprint of God helping me up, or God lifting me and helping me in situations. And like I say, you don't have to be in church. You don't have to be living for God to help you. You are his child. And you have to look back and you have to realize sometimes it's like we were talking to Brother Jason and Sister Jessica on Saturday evening, and I told him there was many times that I'm pretty sure that I should have died. There's so many incidents that I look back now and I don't know why I'm still here. I don't know why. I didn't know why I'm still here. I didn't know why why I'm not missing a leg, why I'm not missing an arm, why I don't have a stab wound, why. Now I realize it was at that time that he was lifting. He was carrying. And as we go in this journey of life, and as we try to get through all these things, there will be times when there's a higher being, there's a higher power, and his name is Jesus, that he will lift you. And even though you don't know, or you don't understand, or it's just him helping you through it. So we kept on our ride. We kept on our journey back, and like I said, it was every trail that I would keep riding, and you could see where there was two quads that got stuck, because the one quad got stuck, and then the next quad got stuck, and then I was the last guy. I would get stuck. And on one of those, it was uphill and it was sketchy, and there was lots of rocks sticking out in shale, and Avi got stuck. Pastor Walker helped her, and then Pastor Walker got stuck, and so I tried to push him with my machine, but my machine was just already, because of that ice had formed from trying to get out, and it wasn't going up the hill. And so I physically got up and just started trying to push him out, and he gave her. And then Ida was so scared, she let out a scream, thinking that we had an accident. It was an accident that I hit him, and she was crying, and I had to get back into my razor and into the machine and reassure her it's okay, we're just trying to help him. And this machine is secured, like nothing's gonna happen to us. It's got a roll cage. right? And it's okay. It's okay to be scared, absolutely, right? But Dad's at the wheel. Dad's not going to let anything happen to you. And that's another thing that as I kept riding, and I kept trying to reassure her that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Like, if we roll, we're going to be okay. The machine is built for it. And Dad's not going to let anything happen. And that's the same way those of you that do go to church, those of you that attend regularly, that even if you don't go to church, but you still talk to God and you still have a relationship with God, God is the same way. He's there for when you fall. He's there for when you have no answers. He's there for when you feel like there's no one there for you. He's there to reassure you. Everything is going to be okay. He's got you. He's going to lift you up. He's going to pick you up. He's not going to leave you alone. And so we kept riding, and like I said, every trail that we came to, there was that story of what had happened at that section of the ride. And I was kind of overwhelmed, because when I do these episodes, at least I think the first one I just went ahead. The second one I fought to I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was gonna go one way, and then something kept pulling me to the way that I went, to the way that what I spoke on. This one, though, I kind of feel like that this one was from God, that He put it in me, because it was just instantly that looking at the trails, dealing with the situation where Ida was frightened and she screamed and she cried, and I reassured her. I felt like this is what I need to speak on. I know this isn't what I was going to speak on originally. We were going to continue, what did Christine call it?
Oh, comfy couch conversations with the Cabreras.
So Amanda apologizes, Christine, because that's not happening this time. But I just felt it that maybe someone needs to hear this. That your trails tell stories. And your trail you don't have to keep on your trail by yourself. You don't have to keep on your trail.
I think a big part of it too is you don't have to take the same trail back. You
Yes.
can make a new one. You can go a different way. You don't have to go through the same struggles and the same fight that you've already been through. You can take the path beside it. You can go another way around it. You can find those other opportunities. You don't have to go through the same stuff again. You can learn your lesson the first time through it. You don't have to struggle your way back.
And I'm so happy that you said that, because I hadn't told you, but if you remember me showing you some of the pictures on my phone that were part of the chat, and there's a picture of that map that Brother Chris posted on there. On that one, there was a section of the ride that we didn't take the same section, because I think it was because it was so sketchy and treacherous getting to where we were going, that we actually took a different route. And that is so true what you said, is you don't have to take that same trail. But just remember that even if you take a different trail and you do falter and you do fall and you do need help, that just like there was four of us that would help each other out, 5 of us that would help each other out, there's still God that will help you through things. There's still people, if you attend church, I know some people don't like to reach out even though you're attending a congregation, but reach out. That's what the brothers and sisters are there for, right? They're there to help each other. They're a community. They're extended family, like Amanda said in the last episode. And I just wanted to say that so far in this journey, since we've come back to church, and that since I've come back to God, I feel like now my spiritual car has 4x4 instead of just 2-wheel drive. That God is there, and he's helping us through everything. Sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that. But just from conversations with Pastor Walker, conversations from Sister Cecilia, conversations with Brother David Holmes, conversations with different people in the church, and they are just reassuring us and just pretty much sometimes saying the same thing to us, which I'm pretty sure they didn't get together and say, hey, let's go tell these to the let's go tell this to the Cabreras. It's just, that's how God is. That's how our God is. And I'm just letting you know, if you haven't experienced him and you haven't felt his presence, and if you haven't enjoyed his love and his arms around you and his comfort, I'm extending this chance, this opportunity to you to try him. Try God. Reach out to him. He loves you. He'll never leave you and never forsake you. And to those that have known God, to those that have had a relationship with him, he's there asking you. He's reaching out and saying, come home, my child. He's reaching out and saying,
just like that trail, take a different path.
Take a
different way. Go and meet him somewhere else. If it's not in church for you, sign in online. If it's not online, like I was saying, I was talking to somebody the other day, go and sit upstairs where nobody sees you. Come in after the service starts, a minute or two after the service starts. Sit at the table upstairs. Don't even go into the sanctuary if you're not comfortable, but listen to the message. Find a friend that wants to listen to it with you. You don't have to physically be there. You can find your spirituality. You can build that yourself from anywhere. You don't have to be physically in the building if that's not where you're comfortable. That's, I guess, one of the good things about it is that it's not limited to where you are. You can worship anywhere.
You worship anywhere, just like
anywhere. You can sing anywhere.
Yeah, amen. Just like I was on that ride, and I was trying to sing along. I'm horrible at learning songs. I make up my own words sometimes. But I'm singing and I'm worshiping, and sometimes I start to clap, and Ida
yells, help.
Keep your hands on the wheel, and sometimes she'll yell help because her ears are hurting, she says, but I'm there worshiping and like, yeah, it's very true. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go to church right away if that's not what you feel. And if you're skeptical, and if you're not there yet, and that's fair enough. But I'm just saying, just in your own way, just reach out to God if you're struggling and you need help. And he's an awesome God. He's there for us. And I didn't even read my scripture that I was going to read. Maybe I'll read it now. I'm going to read Isaiah 41:10 and 13 and just leave it there. And Isaiah 41:10 says, Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of righteousness. And I'm going to read 13. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. Oh, he's just, I'm telling you, with every situation that I think that we've been through recently, as much as we're human and we're scared and we're fearful, and sometimes there's no answers in the world, and I got so many questions. Ever since we've started to come to church, and ever since that I started to actually give myself entirely to God, it's like I have fear, but not the fear that I had. I don't have all the answers for all the questions that I have, but it seems like as we go, those are answered. And I just want to thank God for being on my side, and I want to thank the congregation at Truth Church and Pastor Walker and his wife and his kids, and God is good. Thanks for listening. I know this was a different one. I know there's lots of, I don't know. I'm trying to polish up my speaking. Thank you very much for your patience. I love you. God loves you. And reach out. Reach out and touch him. Reach out and pray to him. He's there. Amen.